Judge Linn is the epitome of what the American Inns of Court represents.
In 1965, he was a model of professionalism, civility, and ethics, and he's never wavered from that.
He's one of the icons of intellectual property law.
A lot of young lawyers are coming into the profession and learning about civility and professionalism right at the get-go, and Judge Linn is such a great role model.
I think that my career is a lot more fulfilling and enriched because of him and because of the Inns of Court.
He loves the Inns. I mean, that is his passion. And that'll be a wonderful legacy, I think.
It really is a pleasure and an inspiration to work with him.
I thank every one of you for what you're doing to support the Inns of Court and to support the rule of law. That's the bedrock of our freedom. Let's not forget it. And that's really why this matters. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
People naturally gravitate to Judge Linn just because he is such a wonderful, warm human being who genuinely cares.
He's the type of conversationalist who meets you and wants to talk about you more than to talk about himself. And I think that has really endeared him to literally thousands of people that he's met during his career.
Dick and Patty Linn are two of the best friends Marcel and I have, and we missed them from Washington.
I remember chatting with Judge Linn about patent law, and I'm a professor and I love patent law, and it was clear that Judge Linn really loves patent law. And so on the way home, I remember telling my wife, I'm like, wow, that was so cool that I just spent like 15 minutes chatting with Judge Linn about patent law. And my wife said, actually, it was an hour and a half.
Wherever he is, he's a sought-out person to talk to. But when you have your time with him, it's just you and him, and oftentimes his wife is with him. And when you're with them, you're the only people they're talking to, and you feel that you're the only ones there.
He has the ability to make people feel special. He talks to anybody. He has the ability also to communicate well to the most sophisticated people in the profession. He also takes very young junior people in the profession under his wing, and he takes care of them.
And you could tell that he was the kind of person that took mentoring and teaching his clerks and even people who weren't his clerks. I clerked for someone else. But he took that seriously, and he was very engaged with the law clerks and with the profession as a large.
Dick really wants to know. He cares about every person that's a part of his life. And it really shows, and that's why people love him so much. He's such a genuine person.
He's a mentor. He's always positive. He analyzes issues by looking on the positive side of things. And from Judge Linn and Patty, I've gained friends for life, and that's just terrific.
It's hard to overstate how my feelings for Judge Linn. He is so wonderful. He is such a gentleman and a scholar, and he has been very important to me, especially in these last couple of years. He has welcomed me to the court. He's worked side by side with me on any number of matters. Olivia Luck introduced me to him, and he was like a ray of sunshine. And I know that sounds cheesy, but that's what he is. He was just very warming and very welcoming.
Anytime I have a difficult decision to make, I always ask myself, what would Judge Linn do? And he's the North Star to me, so it's really a great relationship that we have, and all the things I've learned from him, I hope to always carry forward.
Dick was born-bred engineer. He really was. His father worked and fiddled in the TV repair business and radio repair business, and would have Dick working on the bench with him, and loved it as much as his dad did. But I think it was his uncle that said, you don't want to be doing this, you want to go become a patent attorney. So he went to law school after engineering school.
Judge Linn graduated from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, one of the leading engineering schools in the country. Many people with a background in engineering and science were led to patent law.
The first time I met my husband was in the Department of Commerce. Dick and I were both working there. He was in the patent office and I was working at Maine Commerce. There were so many good-looking young men down there. For any young woman, it was a haven. Well, I flirted, and he flirted back. And so we had our first date on April Fool's Day in 1966.
We were all going out to drink beer on Friday night, and Dick Linn said, "I have to go home and see Patty." He said, "You guys have a good time, you'll be out half the night, but I need to go home and see Patty."
5 months after we met, we were married, and that's almost 47 years ago.
Dick and Patty's relationship is just phenomenal. Their love for one another, their devotion to one another, their dedication to each other's goals is really spectacular.
Judge Linn is not only a family man with Patty and his daughters and grandkids. His clerks at work, they all call him, Judge Linn, but their kids are his grand clerks, which is so adorable, and they call him Grandpa Linn. It's just really, really cute.
Judge Linn and Patty are like parents to me. I feel so close to them.
Somebody who is near and dear to my heart, one of my former law clerks, Teresa Summers.
We get together twice a year, and it's grown over the years.
They were required to bring the whole family, and we are up to over 30 grand clerks.
Often when people are nominated to be on the court, there's discussion about whether the nominee has judicial temperament. I think no one questioned whether Dick Linn had judicial temperament.
So we had the swearing-in ceremony, the stroke of midnight, turn of the century, so he's the first federal judge in the new millennium. It was a nice way to start the new year.
Most people go to New Year's Eve parties with a bottle of champagne under their arm. He went with his oath of office. But that's the way he is. He's willing to become a judge on a holiday because he is so dedicated to the profession.
And then I watched Dick get sworn in and go on to have one of the most exemplary careers on the bench we've seen.
He was very experienced. He knew what the world was about. He knew what the patent system was about. So he didn't really need any tutelage. I think it might be more interesting to think about how the rest of us may have blossomed under his tutelage.
The Inns of Court are meant to foster excellence in civility, ethics, professionalism, and legal skills.
The idea of civility, ethics, and professionalism is something that really has, in my opinion, advanced the legal system in America.
It's not just a question of making sure people are good lawyers or at least talented enough to perform in the courtroom, but that they understand the importance of their function as lawyers and as officers of the court.
Judge Linn epitomizes respect. He's incredibly civil, giving of his time, giving of his energy, and giving of his own sort of personal dynamic. So he, to me, is the epitome of what the Inns of Court are about.
And he's continued to inspire me with his dedication to the Inns of Court and to bringing young people along in the profession.
When he first became really involved was just after he became a judge, and the Giles Rich Inn would meet at the court, and he went down to see what was going on. And he just found it a wonderful experience and decided to get very involved.
We were all mentored voluntarily or involuntarily. We all learned from others. And so if there's an opportunity to pass some of that on, and perhaps even an opportunity to teach some of the younger people something we think they ought to know, and the Inns of Court do provide that structure and that opportunity. And as Judge Linn has been a leader in that vision, but others have followed his example.
Judge Linn has really taken a leadership role in the American Inns of Court movement by focusing on intellectual property topics.
I could not be more proud to have my name associated with this inn and with the people who are here.
Olivia called Dick, I guess, shortly after she had moved to Chicago. realizing there was not an inn here when she had such a great experience in DC at the Giles Ridge Inn. And talking to Dick, and he tried to help her get it going a little bit. And then when they asked if they could name it after him, I think his first thought was, I didn't know you could still be alive and have an inn named after you.
I'll let you in on a little secret. When I told the National Inns of Court that we wanted to name it after Judge Linn, they suggested someone else because most inns at the time were named posthumously after someone who'd already was no longer with us. And we said, absolutely not, we want Judge Linn, and it was the best decision ever. And so then he helped me put together this an amazing roster of founding masters and judges. He gave me the list of names to call. So when you pick up the phone and you call these incredible partners and judges and you say, well, Judge Linn told me I could call you to help start this Inn of Court, everybody answered and said yes.
Here in Chicago, we were the first inn that bears his name, and I feel like we have a very special connection with Judge Linn.
The fact that we not only have an inn named after him, but he participates in our inn. He's an active participant in our inn's activities. I think makes it a special inn. And certainly the inn named after him needs to live up to his name.
From there, it just exploded. Judge Linn caught the Inn of Court fever.
He had come up with this idea to start developing inns across the country. And he made this what I consider to be an unreachable announcement that there would be 10 IP inns in the Linn Alliance by 2010. Now this was 2008. And I thought, well, that's nice to say, it's inspirational and we'll all work hard at it. But there's no way we would do it.
I recall the first time we had this reception was in, I think, 2009. And at that time we had a sign like this, and it said, celebrating the 8 IP Inns of Court. Well, here we are, 2013, there are now 21 American Inns of Court. So I think that's pretty great. And last year we celebrated 16, now we're at 21.
He wanted to take that to the big cities where there were hubs of intellectual property lawyers to get them involved. So that mission took him across the country.
It was very organic to get people involved between the IP inns and to share ideas, and so that's how the Linn Alliance began.
The Linn Alliance is like the center of the wheel, and the other inns are like the spokes. We all communicate, but we're able to communicate centrally through the Alliance, and that's really awesome.
The Inns of Court were calling him Johnny Appleseed because he seemed that every place he would go, an inn would pop up.
I actually started to question whether there was only one Judge Richard Linn, because frankly, Judge Linn is in so many places at so many times, seemingly the same time, that I started to believe that there was a clone. I don't think it's possible to clone Patty. So I started believing that if Patty was with him, then I was with the genuine article as opposed to the clone.
I always, of course, know how passionate Judge Linn is about the Inns of Court. So I spoke with Judge Linn about what would it be like to have a Tokyo American IP Inn of Court.
And she said, there are so many law firms that have young lawyers that are there for 1 or 2 years to spend time with clients and develop relationships there. Wouldn't it be nice if we had an Inn of Court in Tokyo, an American Inn of Court in Tokyo?
It's been 2 years to work through all the kinks, but we are launching it in just about 3 weeks from now. We're having our inaugural meeting.
I think that not only will the inn be tremendously successful, but I do think there will be more meaning to this than even the American Inn of Court experience. So I'm very excited.
The generosity of time and talent was just extraordinary. So I think that really helped in getting these Inns of Court established.
To give the mentoring and the help to young lawyers, that is a lasting legacy.
His father one time said to him, the first 25 years of your life, you become educated. The second 25 years of your life, you gain wealth. The third 25 years of your life, you give back. And now he's in the third 25 years of his life, and so he is giving back, and he loves it.
He is a person that is giving, that will provide advice, mentorship, just is so approachable. The young lawyers gravitate to him.
The number of people that value him are not just those that he has contact with every day, but I think that thousands of times a day, people actually think of Judge Linn.
The way that Judge Linn has helped my professional growth is just increasing my awareness of this creed of professionalism, ethics, and mentoring. I think that bringing that to every level of someone's life can't help but increase their professional growth.
I'm very proud to be the next incoming president of an inn named after Judge Linn, and for what he epitomizes. It's one of the special moments of my career.
I know that Judge Linn treasures his inns because you can see it on his face when he walks into a meeting, when he's interacting with the various inn members. You can just see it. He's happy and he's relaxed, and there's nothing better than that.
There are thousands of attorneys now being touched by his mentoring and his leadership and his professionalism. It's going to go on for many, many, many years.